was there normally right as I drove into the parking lot of the store of the shopping center. Across the street there was a bar and it was it's always full of people, and when I looked around it was I couldn't see anybody or nothing or cars moving by, and then after a while when I get back in and start driving I see all this traffic.
That's interesting. So it's almost as if there was some sort of time dilation associated with this crash.
Right, and that's something that after a while I started thinking. I go, I should have seen my clock and see what time it was, and then what time, but it didn't snap. I mean, it was so right there in front of me that I actually parked and got out the car to see it. And when I got out the car to see it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, well, what you're describing, I've heard before. There's a great UFO story told by John Lennon when he was living with May Pang in the Village, I think, and saw a craft hovering over the Hudson River, and they looked around, and there was nobody around on the busy streets of New York. And after it passed, then everything resumed as normal. All right, great story. Appreciate you checking in from San Antonio, David. All right, we'll take a time out. Here's Arlo Guthrie taking us. Well, no, we have a little bit more time here, don't we? No, we don't. We're gonna take a break. All right, I'll get it straight. Arlo Guthrie, the motorcycle song, here on Coast to Coast AM.
Just wanna ride on the motorcycle. I don't wanna tickle, 'cause I'd rather ride on my motorcycle. I don't wanna die, just wanna ride on my motorcycle. It was late last night, the other day, I thought I'd go up and see Ray. So I went up and saw Ray. There was only one thing Ray could say was, I don't want to pickle, I just want to ride on the motorcycle. And I don't want to pickle.
Contractor license 1047-781. Hey, Ken and Winnie, what Rick told us is pretty cool. It's Ken. You know it's Ken. I need to hear you say Ken. Rick runs Gentle Academy, where we train plumbers and AC techs. Rick told me something that made me so happy I had to wipe tears off my cheeks. A student said, I knew working at Ghetto was going to be a great opportunity, but I didn't know it was going to change my life. That's what it's all about, Wacky Zacky. When you work at Ghetto, you know you matter. You know you're making a difference. Your customers and your coworkers love to see you coming, and they miss you when you're gone. Other companies expect you to upsell the customer, but Ghetto Techs have only one job: make the customer happy. They call us and trust us to fix their problem. Ken sits down with all the new people once a month and talks about the future, and answers all their questions, and learns all their names. I sit down with everybody once a month just to hear what's on their mind. Come to work for Ghetto, GOE-TTL. You'll be happier than you've ever been.
I learn something new from you guys every day.
For all you people who think you don't learn something from this show every day,
You're wrong.
You're absolutely wrong. Gary and Jen, weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
We're gonna be fine.
That doesn't sound like you're going to be fine.
We're gonna be fine.
Ken Conway Jr. Show.
It sounds like it's our last words.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
Don't, hey, if you're wasted, what are you doing going on television?
Or the radio, for that matter.
Or the radio, for that matter.
Gary and Jen, weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
That's what I'm saying. He said dilettantes. Dilettante's a good word. Now, like, I don't have to spell the fancy words I use.
John and Ken, weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
I'm sure you're going to get a bunch of emails saying handle your form.
Okay, just to let you know, I agree with that.
So you don't have to bother.
Bill Handle.
Don't waste your time.
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
KFI, AM 640.
Hey, Dad, on this Father's Day, I'd like to thank you for teaching me how to fish and for not holding it against me that the first time you took me fishing when I was about 4, on my first cast, I reared back, cast out, and ripped the hat right off your head with my lure. Love you, Dad.
Happy Father's Day from KFI.
KFI.
KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere. iHeartRadio app.
They say not guilty. I'm Brian Berman from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A couple have pleaded not guilty to charges related to the road rage murder of a young boy on the 55 freeway in Orange.
Judge Larry Yellen ordered the alleged shooter, Marcus Ayres, held without bail after prosecutors claimed the guy waved the gun at a different driver days after 6-year-old Aiden Leos was killed.
It seems to me that Harris is a complete danger to the community, to society.
Yellen says it would seem any self-reflection of the crime would result in someone not wanting to go anywhere near a gun or at least not be involved in a similar crime. The alleged driver during the shooting will remain held on a $500,000 bail pending a background check. At the OC Superior Court, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
A former San Diego County Sheriff's deputy has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for 20 charges involving sex acts with underage girls. Police in Chula Vista say an investigation started last April when Crime Stoppers got tips about a man who had done sex acts with a juvenile. The man pleaded guilty to all of the charges. California's health department has started a new website for people to get digital proof of their COVID-19 vaccination status.
It's not an app, it's a website where people can go to and enter their information, and if matched, in return, it would give them a QR code, which they could have it available and store on their phone.
Amy Tong is the state's chief tech officer and says the site is a good way to retain a digital backup of one's official vac status. Sign up is free. You can link to the site from our website, kfiam640.com, keyword vaccine. The stock market has seen its worst weekly performance since January following news the Fed may raise interest rates sooner than expected. The Dow lost more than 530 points. The S&P 500 lost 44, and the Nasdaq closed down 131. The economy has not fully recovered from the pandemic. Unemployment claims were up this week, and the labor market is constrained by supply shortages. SoCal weather from KFI. Clear skies in the Inland Empire and Antelope Valley. Low clouds and fog across the LA basin and the inland valleys. Lows into the 60s. Sunny skies by the afternoon in the rest of LA. Highs will be in the 70s at the beaches. 80s inland, 90s in the San Fernando and San Gabriel valleys. Up to 100s in the Santa Clarita Valley in the afternoon. Right now it's 66 degrees in Sherman Oaks, 64 degrees in Culver City, 64 degrees in Brea, and 64 degrees in Irvine. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Berman.
Improvements in Santa Monica, but lanes still blocked on the westbound side of the 10 at Bundy. It's only the right lane open here due to a crash and a car fire. Watch for delays coming off 405. In Pacoima, eastbound 210 between 118 and Wheatland. Caltrans has all lanes shut down. They should be wrapping up this closure in the next little while, but in the meantime, you can take Foothill Boulevard. And we still have all lanes closed in West Rancho Dominguez as well. This is Avalon Boulevard shut down both directions between Redondo Beach Boulevard and Rosecrans for a fatal crash investigation. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robert Dubucky.
It's Father's Day this week, so I'm going to give you a break, Rick. Here are the top 5 reasons.
I'm not a father.
Oh, you're not a father? Just go with it. Not a father. Yep, makes perfect sense. Number 5.
Father's Day freebie. Dads get a free dad ball cap just by showing up June 20th.
Number 4.
Get a cool action camera for dad when you earn 500 points on your rewards card the 21st or 22nd.
Number 3.
Celebrate Dad's Day at Good Times Cafe. Get a juicy bone-in ribeye, sides, and dessert for one low price.
Number 2.
Take Dad to the Lazy River. It's open.
And the number 1 reason to go to Morongo.
Spoil Dad or yourself at Satan's Spa. Get the massage you desperately need and deserve.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Conveniently located along the I-10. Less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. Morongo. Good times.
Whether it's offering curbside or next-day delivery for online orders on over 160,000 parts or getting involved in their local communities, when it comes to serving you, Napa's Motor never quits. That's Napa Know-How.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, but it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I know you've seen all those great home loans being advertised, but you're probably not sure if you qualify. Or maybe you've been told, nope, you can't get that low rate. Well, I bet you haven't called IntelliLoan. Right now, IntelliLoan has a 1.99% rate in APR with no points or lender fees for SoCal residents. And this is even if your credit score is as low as 620. It's a 1.99% rate in APR with no points and no lender fees. And you've heard me talk about Daryl, the owner of IntelliLoan. He's got a team of home loan specialists that really want to make this home loan process not suck. They want to make it as hassle-free as possible for you. So call IntelliLoan today at 1-800-918-6200. That's 1-800-918-6200, or just go to IntelliLoan.com.
Rate subject to change without notice. Minimum loan amount requirements apply. 60% loan to value and 620 FICO credit score. Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. NMLS 3290. Loans made or arranged pursuant to a California Finance Lenders Law license number 6036970. Equal housing lender. IntelliLoan. Borrow smart.
Hi, it's insert talent name here. You already know that when you have the free iHeart app, you can bring along Please Mention KFI and thousands of other stations just like this one with you anytime, anywhere, on any device, okay? And now with the iHeart app, you could be one of the first to win a trip to the iconic iHeart Music Festival in Las Vegas. Simply download the free iHeart app and search Win to enter. iHeart #1 with music, radio, podcasts, all in one app. Okay, let's do this.
KFI AM 640.
I'm pretending that everything's fine, knowing damn well it's wrong. Still, I don't want no one to tell me what's right. I'll make up my own mind, my whole mind tonight. Those threats still haunt me. I'll fight one by one to the hurt
To talk to Richard Serrett, call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk to Richard from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll-free, call 800-618-8255. This is Coast to Coast AM with your guest host, Richard Serrett.
Welcome back. Sitting in for George Norrie. Earlier I played a tune by Arlo Guthrie, the motorcycle song. Here's another Arlo. Arlo McKinley, The Hurtin's Done. This stripped-down performance, recorded live by Our Vinyl, showcases the Cincinnati, Ohio singer-songwriter who released his debut solo record at age 40 on the late John Prine's Oh Boy Records. I'll be back in the Coast Air Chair tonight, Saturday night into Sunday morning. In the first half, paleo fiction, or the prince of paleo fiction as he's known, author Max Hawthorne will join me to talk about multiple cases of real sea monsters, including a 2017 incident when marine biologists photographed a whale shark as big as a bus. Hawthorne will also examine never-before-seen evidence tied to a host of incredible marine sightings. In the second half, Christina Grozick, a certified vibrational sound therapist and integrated health coach, will discuss the healing powers of sound. Her new documentary, Going Home, looks at the potential to raise or lower the vibrations around us through sound. Grozick will also talk about how we're capable of healing or hurting through sound vibration. That's tonight, Saturday night into Sunday morning on Coast to Coast AM with yours truly. All right, back to open lines. Stay with us right here on Coast to Coast AM.
Remember the saying, if you love something, set it free, and if it doesn't come back, it was never yours to begin with. Well, when it comes to your identity, the folks at LifeLock are calling hogwash. All these nights working overtime, saving up all that money, paying off all the debt, and now some identity thief wants to try and set it free? They say that's crazy talk, and we agree. That's why LifeLock by Norton helps monitor your info and alerts you to potential identity threats. And if you do become a victim, a dedicated U.S.-based specialist will be there to help fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But when identity thieves try to take what's yours, you don't have to take it lying down. Save up to 25% off your first year by calling 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com. Use promo code George25. That's promo code George25 for 25% off at lifelock.com. You'll be glad you did. lifelock.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right, zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Here's country music superstar Brad Paisley for Publishers Clearinghouse.
I'm helping Publishers Clearinghouse change people's lives, and you could be next.
There are just days left to enter to win $1,000 a day for life from Publishers Clearinghouse on June 30th.
Real people just like you really do win.
Don't miss your last chance to win. Enter before it's too late at PCH.com.
Can you imagine? You've got to be in it to win it.
Win $1,000 a day for life. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 6/24. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
On the wildcard line, Jorge's in New Orleans. Hey, Jorge, how are you?
Fine, Richard. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. I've been listening to you for a long time. This is the first time I had a chance to talk to you.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome aboard.
First, thank you, sir. First, I'd like to ask you about your dog. You were talking about it a few weeks ago that he was kind of sick.
Well, you might have me confused with another host. I don't have a dog.
Okay, Master Man Ian then. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'll tell you this story. A few years ago, we were in Guatemala, in Antigua, which is it's a 500-year-old town. And we were coming back from a show at night, maybe midnight, and walking around. We were three guys coming back from the show, and in the middle of the street, you know, the lights are not too high in those cities. It's kind of lightning things, you know, light, very light. So anyway, we saw a woman walking about 100 feet in front of us, dressed in white. She looked like she had a very long black hair. We never saw her face. And she was crying and crying. So, you know, we felt sorry for the lady. And so we tried to, you know, get close to the woman so see if we can do anything for her. But as more we tried to get close to her, as less we got to her. So what happened to us, our legs and our feet were getting heavier and heavier. And the woman kept crying, and then she got to one corner of the block, and she turned around the block. So when we got to there, she had disappeared. She was nowhere to be found. And we couldn't walk. Our legs were very heavy, and our feet were very heavy. And they, you know, tried to find out who it was. When we got to the nearest bar, they told us that was La Llorona. That she was crying for her babies that she had drowned at the river. And, you know, we were really surprised because she was about 100 feet away from us. And it was very
So
interesting.
obviously others had seen this apparition many times before, and there was a legend that grew up around it. And how long ago did her children drown in the river?
Oh, it's been a long story. You know, it's 100 years old. You know, maybe the story maybe is like 300 or 400 years old. But we just had the chance to see her, you know. And she was crying like you know somebody had done something to her, and we were trying to get close to her, but we couldn't.
Right, your legs were getting heavy, and you tried to walk towards her, but you weren't making any headway. She just remained elusive, right?
And we were three guys. We were trying to get close to her, but we couldn't. And
well, you weren't meant to, right? You weren't meant to.
No. They say that if she sees you or you see her face, it's like a horse face. But that's what the tale say, you know. And so anyway, we saw her, you know, get to the corner. She turned around the corner, and when she turned around the corner, and we tried to get close to her,
right, she was gone. How did this change your life?
Oh, very much, because then you start thinking that things really exist. You know, abnormal things happen in this world, and so we got to learn and we got to get used to it because they do exist. And mostly in those little towns, you know, in maybe Mexico and Central America, where the light is very dim in those little towns and things happen. It's like they're talking about this El Sombrerón, which is the hat man. There's another one that's like a little midget, but with a big hat. And it says appears the same thing as La Llorona. So that's what I want to tell you, and to tell people know that La Llorona still exists around. They just saw a movie not too long ago, about maybe last year. The movie came out, La Llorona. I don't remember the stars of the movie, but it was very interesting, though.
Fantastic, Jorge. Thank you so much for the call. It's great to hear from you. I'm glad you finally we got to speak. It's great meeting you. Amazing story down in Guatemala. All right, on the wild card line, Rick is in Olympic, Washington. Hey, Rick, welcome.
Hey there, Richard. Olympia, Washington. Yes.
Olympia, I thought so. There you go.
Anyway, I've heard you mention a couple times when I was driving home on the radio that people called in about inventions. And I've got several inventions. I go by Rick, the accidental quantum pharmacist. And I've been doing research for over 25 years and over 100,000 people. And I accidentally came up with this discovery that has a way to crack open this big conundrum going on in a quantum minefield that has basically been at a roadblock for the last 100 years. In fact, during your ad session break there, George Nord mentioned it's been 100 years of paranormal research. He was referring to UFOs. But I found a way to give tangible, objective proof to quantum mind effects over distance with tangible, objective, measurable results. And so I got a book coming out during the shutdown the last year. I normally work with, hundreds of people a week for free. And now that it's been shut down for a year, I've been working on this book to get out this, 20 years of research that I've done. And what I'm focusing on, Richard, is the difficulty with quantum mind having an effect. All the effects you try to prove is basically on, like you mentioned one thing, the dog, and things that are very, very subjective, not so tangible, or pain relief, or Reiki things, or energetic healing, things like this. And I have a little invention that you shake it over, it's crushed up crystal mineral complex, and it delivers a smorgasbord of frequencies, and it resets the body's electrical field in seconds, and completely numb, permanently numb tissue from surgeries, trauma, accidents is restored to full sensation in 20 to 30 seconds, consistently. Then I found a way, accidentally, to do this with my mind, over the phone or in person, and we've done some double-blind placebo tests on it. It's not a placebo effect, tangible results that are long-lasting, permanent effects. And so that's what I'm bringing to the table here. And I've got a lot of things I could talk about for hours. I've been starting to give talks again. But it's the way to break open this quantum consciousness thing, which has been stopped because of poor protocol. Dean Radin has a lot of my things that I work with. He's got over 200 videos of me doing this live, and I've got about 3,000 videos of me doing this process live with people.
Now, what is the process? Is it something that is peculiar to you, that you have this ability, or is it something that anybody could do if they knew the process?
Well, I believe anybody can do this. It is teachable. I came across the process by accident. There's a little device. It's a little container with crushed up crystals. There's no physical contact made. And you're literally, how I discovered this, a lady had 3 C-sections permanently numb for about 12 years. And this little device, it works at the border zone of when something comes from nothing. And basically still remains nothing, but now has an active presentation where an observer effect can be registered. And that's what life is. But there's a border zone I discovered. There's a code I discovered that basically operates within this zone that you can activate with many, many different ways of doing it. But anybody can do this simple techniques. And anyway, I shook this little device over the C-section. It typically works within seconds. The lady had full sensation restored in about 20 seconds, been permanently numb for years, and it stays that way. She wanted to get one of them, and the little device was empty, unbeknownst to me. And I went on about a 6-month question, why did this work then? So I found out there's a subtle shift that I was unconsciously doing that I was now able to tease out and discover what this little change was. And then I started to do that subtle little shift, and that is what has this dramatic dynamic effect. It's not intention, it's not visualization, it's not Reiki, it's not energetic healing, and all the other types of names and languages that are put onto different healing modalities. Dean Radin has called this a gigantic effect. He's attempted to get funding for several years on this, but the effect is so gigantic, it goes beyond the norms of the typical paranormal quantum consciousness research. So I got obsessive with this thing, and because within this field, it is at a roadblock. It's at a standstill, and you hear the same old stuff years and years. And in fact, most of the research has been done with the Zener cards, the GAN field, the Sterling effect, the Rupert Sheldrake, which I've met. I've been at IONS conferences before and worked on people down there. But a lot of this stuff is just the same old stuff, and a lot of it has very, very poor protocols within their study, because most of it is on subjective things like pain relief. And I've got about 20 different ways to give objective tests on the body regarding lungs, various types of scars, breathing ability, visual ability.
Right. And you can do this remotely as well? You could do this remotely over the phone?
Yes, I can do this remotely over the phone. They do it for free. I did a couple people yesterday, and people are just blown away by this stuff. I've also invented a sound, and it's for free on my website. You can find me in Quantum Pharmacist at Syntropy Zone. But there's a sound I discovered also, and I heard you got a sound person on tomorrow night. But I found there's a generic sound that will create an order of a higher magnitude where the body is in an automatic healing mode. Now, what I call this is the Syntropy Zone, and the little device is the SEO, the Syntropy Effect Optimizer. Entropy being disorganization, chaos, kind of a spiraling death process, whereas syntropy is the opposite. It is order. And that is how life presents itself through physical structure. How do rocks become, how do stars become human bodies and life, and then how do they become conscious? How do they have agency beyond that, make choices? So I found there's many, many ways to accomplish this. And again, one is with sound, or I can do it over the phone, anywhere in the world, and it's just mind-blowing. And this is something I've got so obsessive in, because there's got to be a way to bring tangible results. I also, you are aware of, I'm sure, the Vicks essay, the Life After Death essay that George Knapp is working with Robert Bigelow in.
Right.
Yes, and I submitted an application for that essay. Now, the reason I submitted it is life after death. Number one, the first thing you need to prove is life during life. You got to prove that there's a quantum consciousness effect going on in the physical body in present time while we are alive. And most of the studies, if not all of them, and the evidentiary support they're looking for in the Vicks essay is simply more subjective results, anecdotal stuff. And they want an essay up to 25,000 words. Well, if you've got something that's provable and very tangible, it's a simple 1 or 2 page explanation. If you got to dance around the 25,000 words, you don't have something very tangible. So what I'm dealing with here in the essay application was that the first thing you need to establish between life and death, there is a border. And it's the same border that presents itself in any function of the human body. And the one that I prefer to work on in the last 20 years is the border of a scar tissue, where you've got permanent numbness, hard adhesions for 20 or 30 years from multiple surgeries or trauma. And now I can get that restored to full sensation, soft, pliable tissue, all objectively provable within 30 seconds to a minute. That is a common border zone to all tissue, all healing processes within the body. And so that's why I'm so interested in bringing this thing to the surface now. I've got many, many ways to prove this. And I call myself a quantum pharmacist also to, it's a label that is mocked, it's ridiculed when other people use the word quantum. It's the woo-woo word. In fact, in my book coming out, it's called Woo the Wow when it's not supposed to work.
Right,
So
right. What did Einstein call it? Spooky effects at a distance, right?
Exactly, the Einstein effect there. In fact, there's one of the things that I call it Weinsteinian. There's a particular ingredient I found. You can hold it an inch away from the body, and it causes the same effect. And this stuff is available basically for free. Now, I call myself quantum pharmacist because I invite the big-time scientists. I invite the ones that want to mock the consciousness research, because I can verify objectively and prove and back up everything I'm saying. And what I found with a lot of these scientists, I met them at various shows and conferences, I proved to them the effect, and they turn and they run. Literally, they run. And we've been presenting this to many, many people, many big-time world-famous scientists, and they are astounded by it. And again, a lot of them see the results are too big for them to even consider researching it. In science, typically what goes on is very tiny incremental effects. That's the typical scenario in the scientific world. And when something is presented that has a gigantic effect, it scares people. Or most scientists are involved with institutions, and they got to play the game. They got to play the grant game, the funding.
Right. Is this repeatable, Rick? Is it repeatable? Do you do it every time, all the time?
It's extremely consistent, yes. Now, it's one of the difficulties with consciousness studies and quantum mind stuff. You have to have thousands and thousands of active studies taking place. And in this case, you can get, and the reason they have to have thousands and thousands of repeated effects or events is that they are relying on statistical significance to show any effect. In fact, in Dean Radin's own words, he had mentioned that the present proof in the quantum consciousness world is a tiny amount less than 1%. And that is why the mainstream doesn't take any of this stuff seriously. They kind of slough it off as being some noise in the data or poor protocols within their study. And these things that I've discovered, it's well over 80 to 90% consistent outcome. And it happens within minutes. It's very, very inexpensive to do the proof of it. You don't have to set up this big elaborate testing facility and all this expensive equipment. It is done very, very simply. And I have been doing this stuff at fairs and events and home shows for the last 25 years. And that is where I've had the opportunity to work with over 150,000 people, literally.
Rick, I gotta run. We gotta move into a break, but it sounds fascinating. We'd like to hear more at some point. Thank you so much for the call. All right, here's Kurt Chaboyer taking us into the break with Keep Moving On, the Montreal, Quebec singer-songwriter's popular interpretation of the song by the late legendary soul singer Sam Cooke. Right here on Coast to Coast AM.
Moving on, keep moving on, every day. Brother, mind what you do, and how you feel, fellow man. If you're like me, you try to live the best that you can. For if you spread love around, you'll be able to sleep when the sun goes down. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way.
KFI 24-hour newsroom. 3 LA City councilmen have made a move to make LA anti-racist.
The work of advancing equity is obviously no small task.
Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas was one of the authors of the measure, which would create a racial equity task force and charge it with auditing the city's progress on providing access for or barriers to the black community.
Makes it abundantly clear that we have unfinished business to fulfill the promises of democracy.
The measure also asks city departments to submit racial equity plans every year.
Racism is not static. It's dynamic.
At City Hall, Chris Carlo, KFI News.
The Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County is going to showcase an exhibit on the world's foremost expert on chimpanzees. The exhibit on Jane Goodall is set to open November 7th. SoCal weather from KFI brought to you by Indeed.com. Cloudy skies will clear to sunshine across LA and OC. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman.
All lanes shut down through Pacoima on the eastbound side of the 210 freeway between the 118 and Wheatland Avenue. It's Caltrans working your way here. The Shippey Avenue is closure, already running a little bit behind, but watch for delays from Maclay. Take Foothill Boulevard to get around it. Santa Monica, westbound side of the 10 at Grundy, still working on a crash cleanup here. Only the right lane open. Just a bit slow coming off the 405. And West Covina on the eastbound side of the 10 Pacific to Azusa Avenue. It's only the right lane open due to Caltrans work till around 8 o'clock. Slow drive heading through that stretch. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Robert Bucky.
Not to be a backseat driver, but if you need to hire great people fast, you need Indeed. Sponsor a job, and you'll immediately get a list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. More at Indeed.com/credit.
Thinking of buying a house and want a really low interest rate? Owning has a special for home purchases, where Owning pays all your closing costs, and the rate in APR is an unheard of 1.875% for a 15-year fixed mortgage with 20% down. This is the craziest low rate for a mortgage with no closing costs that Owning has ever done. 1.875% rate in APR. Heck, we're almost paying you to live in a new house. Call 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if you qualify for this crazy low 1.875% rate. That's a fixed rate loan at 1.875% with no closing costs. Call 833-2-OWNING now because 1.875 could go away at any time.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Subject to credit approval. Offer assumes the use of Lender's Choice Escrow and Title Services. Call 823-858-0066 for terms and conditions.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com. 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
At a prestigious consumer electronics show, the winner for best product might surprise you, because it went to technology found in a mattress. Safely introduces the new Smart Life mattress by Tinfoil.
Inside every Smart Life is something revolutionary. 80 patented smart cells that cradle you with personalized support and let you and your sleep partner adjust your comfort level.
Smart Life even has a relaxation mode that massages you to sleep. Best of all, Smart Life's advanced technology costs hundreds less than a comparable sleep number bag.
Before you buy a sleep number bag, you owe it to yourself to try Smart Life's revolutionary smart cell technology. Stop by any fitness store or make an appointment today, or you can shop safely with your own personal protector to wear. So for the latest innovations in sleep, make the smart move. Try the new Smart Life mattress from Tinfoil at Fit and Sleep today.
Price comparison based on website price for Tinfoil Smart Life Early and sleep number I10 as of February 3rd, 2021.
It's Father's Day this week, so I'm going to give you a break, Rick. Here are the top 5 weeks.
I'm not offended.
Father's Day treat. Dads get a free Dad ball cap just by showing up to the attendance.
Number 4.
Get a cool action camera for Dad when you earn 500 points on your rewards card for 20
Number 3.
Even Dad's Day is 2 times Cafe. Get a juicy floating river, sides and desserts for one low price.
Number 2.
Take Dad to the end of the year. It's open.
And the number 1 reason to go to Morongo.
Spoil Dad or yourself at St. Spa. Get the massage you desperately need and deserve.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Conveniently located along the I-10. Less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. Morongo. Good times.
Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes.
2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply.
KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk.
The wild card line at 818-501-4109. The first time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk to Richard from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll free, call 800-618-8255. This is Coast to Coast AM with your guest host, Richard Serrett.
Hey, welcome back. Sitting in for George Norrie. If you become a Coast Insider, you're going to gain access to the Art Bell Vault, which is a curated collection of vintage Art Bell shows, which include the rare fifth hours. That's right, back in the day, Art's show was 5 hours long, with commercials and breaks removed. It's available for on-demand listening across all platforms, Mac, Windows, iOS, Android. 2 new programs added to the collection each week, and all this for about 15 cents a day. To become a Coast Insider, go to coasttocoastam.com. Hey, Contact in the Desert is going virtual this year. George Norrie will host 2 events. Of course, the Contact in the Desert kicks off Friday, June the 25th at 8:30 a.m. And George will host 2 events on Saturday, June 26th. A panel, UFOs, the best evidence, from 1:15 to 3:15 p.m. And then an online meet and greet from 3:30 to 4:45 p.m. Again, that's Contact in the Desert, goes virtual this year, and that's Friday, June 25th. For full details, go to coasttocoastam.com. All right, back to more of your calls. Open lines continues. Clear on till morning, right here on Coast to Coast AM.